This series of videos discuss IT security's gaps and opportunities. Security professionals constantly ask, why is this here? Why did I do that? What did I miss? And is there a better way? In this series of videos, we discuss security's missing bits. This is the third video. This video asks, why do our secure forms of personal communication foster the old attacks? Analysis is security's great strength. Once we have analyzed the situation, we cling to the analysis. They are our lifelines in a dark, uncertain environment. But this strength can also be our great weakness. We frequently fail to respond correctly when slow, gradual change has invalidated our prior decisions. Decades ago, when we designed our protocols, our communication protocols, our past analysis had concluded most connection attempts are legitimate. We have to enable communication with strangers who may attack us, but this is okay because it's rare and servers and clients can defend against attacks. From these early conclusions, we evolved attitudes and principles that have shaped all of our communication protocols. These principles included things like, first, efficiency is very important. Everything must be sacrificed to get more efficient. Second, transparency is very important. Everyone must always be able to tell what is happening. Third, capability is very important. Our protocols must be able to handle every environment, every situation. They must be able to be general purpose and applied everywhere. 4, backwards compatibility must be preserved. No IP device must ever be left behind. And 5, security is nice. Privacy is nice. We should get to them someday. But today we have much more important things to do. Our internet has changed in the 40 years since we validated those principles and conclusions. Now, all the biggest governments launch internet attack against each other all the time. We are constantly ground up and caught in the crosshairs. We are attacked by unpatchable zero-day exploits several times a month. Now we all have to defend against well-trained and well-funded attackers. They're patient, they're relentless, they're coming for all of us all the time. As a result, we've lost privacy, and we have almost lost all security. At this point, our old communication assumptions are no longer valid. Our strong guiding principles have become corrupting weakness. Today, our existing forms of internet communication foster all kinds of attack. They tolerate discovery, they tolerate exploit and traffic analysis. And as a result, we have port scanning, fingerprinting, evil twin, man in the middle, protocol breaks, zero-day exploit, and privacy violations. Now, there have been some new attempts to improve secure communication. They include things like Quick, WireGuard, Dead Simple VPN. These are inching towards a more secure future, but each is still lacking. Our current attacks are fostered because our secure communication protocols all do the same insecure things. Our protocols like QUIC, TLS 1.3, RDP, or SSH, they all default to a standard port. This makes it easy to find, monitor, and attack services. 2, at the start of the connection, before encryption, the server and the client identify themselves. This makes it easy to fingerprint, evil twin, and attack servers and clients. It also enhances traffic analysis. And finally, it exposes lots of private information. Third, before encryption, the protocol usually negotiates settings. And this greatly increases the attack surface of the protocol. 4, virtually every current secure communication protocol will invisibly fall back to even more insecure settings. 5, every current secure communication protocol is completely transparent to traffic analysis. I've done it. You can easily detect important sensitive details by watching the ebb and flow of data. Now, the obvious answer is we need better protocols. We need them yesterday. The opportunity here is a well-designed, homegrown personal communication protocol that avoids all these old attacks is probably inherently more secure than our old, poorly adapted protocols, our poorly adapted standards, even if the new stuff is experimental, even if it hasn't been fully analyzed, even if it isn't approved by a standards body. We might have to preserve the old protocols and preserve the old attacks for public servers. When you allow communication with random strangers, you get attacks from random strangers. But we can choose a new path for personal communications, especially all the situations where we set up both ends of the link. System administration, network administration, and remote access, they should all be as secure as we can make them. A secure protocol in these environments should focus on a minimum set of features to create and validate a trusted communication channel. It should not enable common attacks. A more secure communication protocol for personal communications might look something like this. First, no default port. Instead, always default to a random high port. For years, we have said it's easy to keep track of a big host name or a big IP address, but it's really hard to keep track of a small port number. Now, if this sounds stupid to you, you may be right. Second, default to pre-shared symmetric encryption keys. For years, we've said it's easy to set up users and passwords, but it's really hard to share encryption keys. That's even more funny when nowadays our good passwords are about the same size as our encryption keys. Now, if this sounds stupid, you may be right again. Third, all protocol content should be encrypted. There should be no exposed headers, no exposed message identifiers, no exposed flags. The first client packet should be completely encrypted with the pre-shared key. Only if it decrypts correctly and has the right structure, then the server responds with a packet that is also encrypted with the pre-shared key. If the initial client content doesn't decrypt correctly, then the server ignores the packet. This way, you can't port scan, fingerprint, zero-day attack, evil twin, or man in the middle unless you know the pre-shared key. The initial packet should also include a random amount of random padding to defeat external fingerprinting and traffic analysis. If an outsider can tell details about your personal communications, you have a security failure. 4, the initial packets between client and server should establish a transient session key to create perfect forward secrecy. After creating a transient session key, everything is then encrypted with this temporary key. Now, this sounds like inefficiency, and it is, but it is valuable inefficiency. We should keep valuable inefficiency. The two keys do very different things. The pre-shared key disables many of our existing attacks. The transient session key decreases the reward of attack while greatly increasing its cost. 5, if years later we discover that this protocol is insufficient to create security and privacy, then we create a new protocol. We don't continue to use a weak protocol, and we don't transparently fall back to a weak protocol. 6, after you set up encryption with a temporary key and a random amount of random padding, then the client and the server can negotiate. For example, they might ask for better encryption. They might ask for more padding of the data stream. There's lots of things you should negotiate, but you shouldn't do it until that negotiation is well protected. 7, after a secure connection is set up, you should negotiate a service. Only after your services are well protected should you ask for them. At that point, you can ask for things like SSH, VPN, or RDP. And afterwards, these services should require additional authentication to determine access and privileges. Now, some of you may be worried that an attacker might use more secure protocols against us. And this was a legitimate concern 25 years ago. But our attackers have been using secure, indetectable protocols for 15 years. We are the last ones to the security party. With a little effort, we can protect our personal communications and our personal devices. We don't have to enable the old attacks. We can have privacy. We can do better. We don't have to keep living at ground zero of the bombed out wasteland that is current internet security.